Now the Roundtable, former Pennsylvania Senator and presidential candidate Rick Santorum, Van Jones, co-host of CNN's Crossfire, Cokie Roberts, who has written a new book out Tuesday, Founding Mothers, and Greta Van Susteren of Fox News. So, you know, Jay talked about how they want to bypass Congress, and they're clearly not going to judge the success of this year based on what they passed. But Cokie, we see the headlines this week, and that actually Republicans are talking about moving forward on immigration reform. Can the president finally get what he's never had, a bipartisan legislative accomplishment?
Well, they did have the budget agreement last week, which he signed, those 1,600 pages. Well, I know, but at least they're turned on. That's a big change. Look, the Republicans are understanding that their own self-interest means immigration reform. And the question is, can they get past these primaries or the filing deadlines for the Republican primaries and then do an immigration bill? And they're going to discover this weekend.
Happen? Do you think it happens?
I think it does happen. I think it happens in pieces, and you put together a different coalition on each piece. So you have one group of congressmen voting for border security, another group voting for legalization, another group voting for visas for high-end workers. You go bit by bit and then bring it to conference with the Senate.
Senator Santorum,
that's a very tall order. I've never seen that done in Congress. I mean, you get these big bills, and that's how these things pass. And it's very, very hard to get all those component parts together and get a consensus, particularly when you have a president who has been as vindictive as this president has been in attacking his Republicans for on a variety of issues.
But not on immigration. I mean, he's actually trying to get a deal.
Well, but there's a difference between trying to get a deal and actually putting something forward that's a compromise. The president has been pretty insistent that this is his way or the highway.
But alligator and moats in the border, right? I mean,
that's only one aspect.
I think that's right. I think we will get something done on immigration. This president's going to start climbing out of this hole. This is not the make or break moment, but it's the first step in a new conversation with American people. Here's reality. 2014 is not about fixing stuff. It's about fixing blame. Who is responsible? Is this the Obamacare economy, or is it the obstruction economy? Is this Republicans standing in the way of common sense stuff like immigration reform, like roads and bridges? And I think the president's got to lay out, here's some common sense stuff we can do that would make America better, and then challenge Republicans to come along. If they don't, I think he gets a chance to run against an obstruction economy, not an Obamacare economy.
God, he's been doing that for 3 years.
Exactly.
Yeah, well, actually, I was just going to say to Van, the problem is that, you know, blaming has not been very successful. And when kids do it in the schoolyard, you pull them apart. You know, blaming is not a really successful way to get something accomplished. You know, leadership sort of overcomes that, and that's something that he's not been particularly successful at doing, as leading. I realize he has a divided Congress, but remember, he had in 2010, when he gave that immigration speech, he had the House and the Senate and did nothing on immigration. As for immigration, doing a grand bill, we saw what a grand bill did when we did a grand bill on health care. So I actually think that Cokie's right, and doing a piecemeal has much greater success. I don't think our government can do these grand things that everybody thinks.
Well, but you know, the problem that the Republicans are facing, and they are very well aware of it, is somewhat of what Van is saying, is that the American people, and our poll is showing this today, are just fed up. I mean, there's 27% are saying, we elect my member of Congress, only 27%. So they've really got to guard against a wave election where the whole attitude is just throw the bums out, nobody's getting anything
and you know,
done.
that astounding number in there, that only 37% trust the president to make the right decisions.
But only 19% trust the Republicans.
It was
in
even
Congress.
lower for Democrats and even lower again.
Right, and I want to say something about that, which is that, you know, you mentioned that the president didn't fix everything in the 2 years. You know, all he did was save the economy. All he did was save the auto industry. All he did was try. I mean, he got an awful lot done. But you know what?
Legislatively, he sure got a lot done.
He got a lot done. And then here's the reality: the Republicans want to blame this president for everything. The last time that I saw this president at a signing ceremony, where Republicans let him sign, you know what? The last time he had black hair and he looked like Tiger Woods. Okay, Now he looks like Morgan Freeman. Why? Because Republicans will not support him on anything, even on their own bills, even their own priorities.
They're responsible for his gray hair.
But Van, well, at least in part, I think. But Van, if you look at one other number in our poll, you look at Democrat versus Republican for Congress. This is a real warning sign for Democrats.
Absolutely.
Look, you see Republicans actually statistically tied, but actually with an advantage. I mean, Senator Santorum, you've seen that before, 1994,
yeah,
2010.
Well, look, the fact is he can't run away. Jay Carney tried to, again, bring up George Bush, and it's, the problems that the president had. Nobody's buying that anymore. This is the president's economy. This is the president's decision. And the fact that it's been so long between sign and ceremonies tells you that he can't get anything done.
That Republicans won't let him get
because he doesn't cooperate.
But
he does not cooperate. Look at what Jay Carney just said. Yeah, we're willing to go and put things forward, but if you don't, we're going to take out our pen and we're going to do it ourselves. You know what? That's what he's been doing. That is not constructive.
President Obama sometimes acts like he's the only one who had political opposition. That's sort of part of the game. I mean, every politician has opposition on the other side. Look at how much President Clinton got done, and he had been impeached and was on trial to get thrown out, and he got things done. You can't keep blaming everybody else.
And the president himself is saying now that this is not the most partisan time in our history. He's now been going back and reading his history and understanding that that's the case, and so that he has to learn to deal with it. The really dangerous thing, I think, for him and for the Democrats in this poll, that he's going to have to think about as he makes the State of the Union message, is that more people say that the Republicans have the right idea about the size and role of the federal government than the Democrats do, and that is the fundamental question between the two parties.
All right, and we can imagine if the Republicans take over the Senate, Van, opposition, I mean...
Here's a couple things I think we have to keep in mind here. This is a president who, for all of the problems that he has right now, is actually presiding over a healing economy. The economy actually is moving forward. People don't feel it. People want more. And there are
only 74,000 jobs. We've got to take...
He can put things forward, and we'll put things forward in this speech that nobody can disagree with, that could be done this year. And it's up to Republicans to meet him halfway to get it done.